Hey everybody, how's it going? This is gonna be. It's not really a vlog, this one. This is more or less more like you could say a discussion, or just a subject video. I wanted to talk about mental health. I'm probably gonna get people commenting, asking, or people watch this that I know, probably gonna get, be a bit concerned why out the blue I've decided to make this video. Because, I have a bit of a track record of, you know, beating myself down. I have suffered with mental health issues over the years, stenting from when I was a kid, right through in my adult years. When it comes to mental health, it always stays with you to a degree. You just sort of learn or try to accept, it's like acceptance, and you sort of like, you know, you put faith in yourself, and you try to kind of come to terms with the person you are. You accept the person that you see in the mirror, and you start to see the good things that keep you going, and the things that you enjoy that help you keep going, help motivate you, and the great people, the friends, family, the support structure that you have. You start to see that, you start to acknowledge that, and you start to see the bad thoughts start to kind of seep a bit more further back into your mind, even though they are still sort of there. There might be, like with myself, there are times where they do rear their ugly head from time to time, but you sort of able to bury them a little bit more easier than you probably would have done at another point in your life when it was a much darker time. I'm not qualified counselor or psychologist. I'm not a doctor. I can only speak from experience of having mental health issues with depression, also anxiety. And the point of this video, I don't want to linger it on too much. I just want to get to a certain point with this. And I feel, even though times have changed, and men in particular, that this video is more or less aimed at, not just men, but anybody in particular. But I know the reason why I say men in particular is because men naturally find it much harder to bring what's going on in here and talk about it openly. And that is because there's this stigma. There's always been a stigma aimed at men in particular, that men can't open up. Men should not open up. The old-fashioned mentality around mental health is that you just get on with life. You just get on with it. You just walk it off, or you don't talk about it. You keep it in here. You keep it all fastened up in the darkness, and you just keep going. You go to work. You provide, and you just suffer in silence. That's basically the old mentality. Times have changed, and it's a good thing that times have changed, because it's even though times have changed, there are still hurdles. A lot of people have been failed by the support system. Unfortunately, not being able to being either have tried to get help, or have either tried to get help, or they just they just didn't get there. And it stems from all sorts of reasons. Mental health is one of those things where there's usually a traumatic experience that triggers it, or it could be maybe being abused when they were young. It could be a relationship breakup, a marriage breakup, or it could be the sense of being bullied. Anything like that can cause a traumatic experience that just lingers, and it just stays with you. And with me, with mental health, where it all started with me was sort of with bullying. Being bullied at school for being overweight and I still am a bit overweight for a guy of my age and my size. I will completely hold my hands up to that. I am. And I can do something about that. Yes, I can lose some weight, and I am trying to do that. However, bullying somebody for being a little bit overweight, that is the problem, is that there is also in society, there's this thing where people that are overweight, there is a lot of body shaming, and it goes both ways. It's like two sides of the scale, and body shaming has to stop. And body shaming is one of the biggest factors of where mental health ends up, manifesting, if you want to call it that. And with me, body shaming, people shaming me for this, for what I was like as a child. Also with me being very shy, very introvert. I was very much into myself. I found it difficult to meet new people, talk to new people, make new friends. I found all of that really, really difficult when I was a child at school. And that caused even more problems for me, not just because I was a big kid, a big lad. It was also because I was so shy. And I was always left on my own in the playground. I had very little support structure at school. Some of the teaching faculty, the teachers that I had, some of them were good. Some of them really didn't give a crap. They just went there, did the job, and went home again. They didn't really give a crap. And also, I'm just going to mention this: I am dyslexic, and that also caused a lot of issues with my mental health as well, because I generally thought I wouldn't be able to do anything in life, because that is how some of the teachers I had made me feel. Because dyslexia, the reason why I'm bringing dyslexia up in particular in this video is because that is part of the issues I had through school, and it also part of why I always had so much low self-esteem. And also through my anxiety and depression, it just all went hand in hand. And if it wasn't for a brand new young headmaster or head teacher that took over from the previous, if it wasn't for him, I probably would not have been tested or diagnosed with being dyslexic. It was down to him and his initiative that actually got me tested in the first place. And then I started getting more of a support structure. I started getting assistance in classes, in lessons. I had teachers' aides helping me out, figure out certain things. And before I had teachers' aides and assistants, I was below national average in everything. I just could not deal with any of it. It just wouldn't go in. I just didn't know what the hell was going on with me. And if it wasn't for that headmaster or that head teacher at the time that I had at primary school, if it wasn't for him, I probably would not have been tested. Thanks to him, it really helped. And school even though I was still bullied, but school did start to improve because I started to get better in my lessons, because I was getting really good help and assistance. Even though right through my school years, started to move on with the story of my life a little bit. But, even though that happened and I was still bullied right through high school, but I did eventually I met a couple of friends at school. I met my good friend Sam, who's been in a couple of videos you may have seen in the past on this channel. I met him. He was my first ever real friend that I actually met at school, and he was just like me. He was very to himself, very shy. He found it difficult to approach and make friends as well. And we sort of bonded over that, and we also found out we had mutual interests with stuff we was watching at the time, like cartoons and TV shows that was on TV at the time. And that started to kind of make me feel a bit better, because I had somebody to play with. I finally made a friend. And even though, again, the bullying was still happening, I had somebody that helped me kind of keep it off my mind a little bit. And then I met another friend at primary school as well called Chris. I met him So I had two friends eventually before just before I left primary school, and then I went up to middle school, and I basically they were there, and then I met another friend when I went to middle school called Ben. And so basically, I ended up with three good friends right through my school years eventually. So it started to improve there, but the bullying still was there in the background. And I finally left school, went to college, and then college actually was my college years was probably the best when it comes to my educational years. And because I went to motor vehicle mechanics. I did it through my final. I did it through my final year of school. They did like a thing with Hull College, like a sad thing. And so I did 1 year with school in back in '06, just before I left. And after that, I carried on going for a further 2 more years after school. After school finished, and I left school and I went to college for 2 more years, and then nothing really manifested in regards to going down that path of being a mechanic. So I ended up just trying to find a job and ended up kind of doing little things here and there, retail work, and then where I am now. And yeah, so getting back on, yeah, so basically that is the extent of where my mental health, came from in the first place, was my school years. And, I made more friends. I made a good friend, Smithy, through going to college as well. So yeah, things started to improve once I got rid of school, went to college. Things started to kind of get better. My mental health was still a little bit there. Kind of a little. You could call it like a post-traumatic thing. Some people might argue that it's character building. Some people hide behind this notion of that, people bullying other people that are a bit more weaker than somebody else. It's all character building. It's making them a stronger person, and this, that, and the other. No, it's not. It's not character building. It's not making somebody stronger, because some people probably will get stronger out of it. I'm not saying some people, when it comes to being bullied, some people are able to improve themselves, get better in their lives. Academically, they might do better in academics. They might end up going really far in their lives, really kind of doing a lot of awesome things, and then finally maybe settling down. You don't know, maybe starting a family, and maybe there probably has been people that I've seen and that have ended up coming out the other end in a positive light as a result of being bullied. But a lot more people do not come out of it in a positive way, such as myself, because it has still been very much a lingering thing that has always been in here. Self-doubting myself, unable to, for a long, long, long time, unable to really accept me, the person that I see, the person I am, accept the person that I am, the person that I see in the mirror. For many, many years, from like the age of 5, 6 years old, around about that, I've always had self-doubt issues. And it hasn't been until very, very recently, within the last couple of years really, that I've started to adopt a different mindset. Those people that are problematic, that have been in my life in the past, also staying well away from stressful, awkward situations has also helped my mental health. I've never been good in awkward situations. I'm trying to, people that I see as a problematic person, somebody that probably to my face have been very, very, very nice to me, but then behind my back start backstabbing. The backstabbers I don't associate with anymore. Anybody like that, anybody, it could be family related, it could be maybe somebody that used to be a friend, I that I, it's all part of moving forward and growing as a person. Sometimes that circle that you, sometimes the circle around you, the people that you surrounded yourself with, in the past, probably were part of the problem, why you was experiencing problems. And it's always good to keep those people that are very special near to you, those that were supportive, those that did help you and still do help you. It is important to keep them people in your life, but it's those people that were maybe not as faithful, maybe were asses behind closed doors. Those are the people that you need to get rid of in your life, because life's too short to, life is way too short to, life is just way too short to deal with negativity like that. Now, I really did hit a very, very, very bad, dark spot where I did contemplate ending my life on a few occasions when I was a kid at school. It got very dark. But luckily, thankfully, I didn't go down that path and I'm still here. And I know how difficult and hard it can be. And it's very hard to see through the haze, through the darkness in your head. But once you do that, even if you need to go down the route of getting help, whatever you feel is necessary, go do it. I haven't done that personally because I managed to realise that I managed to see myself without really seeking any assistance or help. I know this is, again, everybody's different. I'm not saying seeking help is a bad thing at all. It's not. It is a good thing if you feel it's the right move for yourself. But for me, I managed to kind of see, and I managed to see the good. I managed to accept myself for me, myself. I am a bit of a nerd. I love my films. I love my animation. I love music, all that kind of stuff. I love films and animation and TV shows and stuff. But basically, the stuff that I enjoy is what keeps me going, keeps me motivated, keeps my brain busy. And also, I've started within the last, very recently, like I said, the last couple of years, 2 or 3 years, I have started to kind of accept the person that I see looking back at me in a mirror. I've started to look back. Yes, I will completely hold my hands up. I do have hiccups from time to time. Just today, I put up a status on Facebook saying that I feel the person inside is different to the person on the outside, because I feel content inside. I feel content. I'm happy. I feel good in myself on the inside, but on the outside, when I catch myself in the reflection of something, it could be a mirror, it could be a reflective surface. I see the person looking back at me, and sometimes I get a bit of self-doubt again. That was just today. So I'm not saying I'm completely healed. I will never be completely 100% healed. Even if I did seek help, I don't really think, there's no such thing as 100% healed when it comes to mental health. It is always there. You just simply learn to accept the person you are. You can't do much about that. Yes, I can lose some weight. I am my own worst enemy when it comes to overindulging. I will be completely honest. But I accept that. And acceptance is part of healing. And acceptance is part of moving on. And also surrounding myself with good people, good friends going to things, going to concerts, going to conventions, whatever it is that makes me happy is what keeps me going, keeps me moving, keeps me motivated. If you go to a healthcare professional, they'll probably say, what is going on in here? Write it down on paper. Maybe a journal, maybe a diary, something like that. Something where you write down your deepest thoughts. And that is part of the healing process when you go, depending on the person you see, of course. But that is what one of the things that they suggest is write it down. But I've never written it down because it's very difficult for me to put into words on paper what is going on in here, because sometimes it's so all over the place, and in the past it was swirling so much that putting it down on paper was near on impossible. So I found it more easier for me. I know it's not the answer for everybody. Not everyone's going to want to put everything out there on YouTube or whatever, or social media. But I found going down the vlog route and being open about it, talking about it openly, doing that has been much more beneficial for me personally. And it has helped me. And it has helped me accept the person that I see and the person I am, and that my flaws, and the things that I can still work on within myself. I've accepted that, and I know what I should and need to work on. But yeah, I've also become a stronger person as a result as well. I have become, since the days of school, since me in my working life and being an adult, I finally do feel much more freer in my head. It's not as dark and hazy as it used to be. So yeah, it can happen. Thank you for watching. If anybody watches this in particular, I really hope you get the help or find help, and hope you feel better in yourself in time. Open up to people if you can. Seek help, professional help if you need to, or if you want to, write it down. Or if you want to be very, very brave, put it out there openly, like I am. But again, it's not going to be for everybody. But there is ways of getting it off your chest. And never suffer in silence. You are not alone, not really. There's a lot more people than you probably realise that are going through similar, or if not worse, situations than yourself. And you don't worry about the whole stigma going on. If you want to open up, if you want to openly speak about what's going on in here, talk about something that's happened to you in particular, then do it. Because that is all, it will help you in the long run. Mental health is not to be sneezed at, it's not to be laughed at. It's a very, very important it's a very important thing, and it's a very, very scary thing, because a lot of people, there are some people out there that you wouldn't even know are suffering. It's a very scary thing. It can be very, very scary. And I've been there myself. But I do feel much better in myself now. And being open about it has been part of it. Has been part of the whole way of keeping the negative thoughts in the back of my mind. Well, there we are. There's the video. Thank you. Take care. Enjoy your weekend. And bye-bye for now.